Hey everybody, this is Evan and Jeremiah with Current Worship Collective, and today we just want to take a few minutes to talk about our absolute favorite thing in ministry, which is critiquing our worship teams and dealing with conflict.
Conflict, yes! Yeah, we're not going to cover everything about conflict. There's a lot of really good resources out there for you guys already. Much more qualified, smarter people than us have written books and done podcasts and all sorts of things that will help you in that area. We really just want to share some of our experiences and things we've learned, because honestly, we've screwed this up a lot.
For real.
And but it's made us better along the way. And so hopefully some of these practical things will also help you as well.
There's some current people watching right now saying, yes, you have messed up in conflict before. I've been a part of it. You're probably thinking to yourself, why should we even talk about this? I mean, we're churches, the kindest people out there, right?
Yeah, I think in churches it kind of goes two ways. Either we just ignore it and pretend like it's not there at all, everything's perfect, and all the while hating each other, or we just condemn the other person and call them a dirty, rotten sinner, and obviously they're completely 100% in the wrong. Two ways.
So listen, that's the truth, and we all have to do it. We all have to deal with conflict at some point. So why not be great at it and invest in ourselves instead of just being okay with sucking at it, you know? And I've had to learn this. If we can't handle difficult things, it really is just going to cut our legs out from under us as leaders.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about this in two sections, critique and then conflict, because we really believe that critique doesn't need to lead to conflict. In fact, if you critique well, it can be a very healthy part of your culture and can improve your team a whole lot more than it will lead to unnecessary conflict. We really believe one of the best ways to deal with conflict is to not get to unnecessary confrontation, and we think one of the keys to that is good communication.
Yeah, and the way we try to communicate as best we can is through expectations that have been really clearly communicated to our whole team. And in fact, we have a document that we'll put in the comments below that just has this list of expectations for anyone and everyone who joins our team. And this really allows for confrontation to be about expectations that we have both agreed to. Instead of us just pointing at someone and saying you're doing something wrong, we have shared expectations that we've agreed to together, and it gives us a common purpose.
Yeah. Another thing you can do to help avoid having unnecessary conflict is just value your team as people, as friends. If your team is anything like ours, it's full of volunteers. It's almost probably completely volunteers. And it's really important to remember these people, when we set high expectations on them, it's all sacrifice. It's their time, it's time away from their family, it's effort, it's energy, and yes, they love doing it, but it is also work, and they're not getting paid for it. And so it's really important to remember that, and they're also, as musicians especially, as a musician myself, it's such a huge part of your identity. When somebody points out something negative about whether it's the way you're executing something or whatever, that can hurt on a personal level. And so it's just really important to remember they are a person and not just a cog in this worship machine for your weekend services.
Yeah, we like to create a big culture of excellence for God instead of just being fine with whatever we get or whatever happens, We really think that if we constantly push to be better, we're going to get there, and we've seen it happen over and over again. So when we share and critique often, it can really be taken more as a challenge and an encouragement to people rather than telling them that they're doing something wrong.
Right. Sometimes conflict is unavoidable, though.
It's going to happen.
You can do all these things super well. You can value your team, you can put time in, building relationships, critiquing others, critiquing yourself in front of them, building a really great culture, but it is inevitable. As you said earlier, we're humans, we are going to have conflict. So here are some things that we can do to help with that. First of all, be honest. And I can't stress this enough. Be honest with the person about the issue at hand. Don't dance around the truth. It really will only make things worse.
We think it's really important to not critique your team in front of other people. And this is really something that you need to do in private.
Yeah. Give them a chance to speak. And when they speak, really listen to what they have to say.
Yeah. I think it's really important to give more expectations and next steps, not just, hey, this isn't going well, and just leaving it at that. Maybe it's a great opportunity to double down if you're using them, those expectations that you've both agreed to, kind of say, hey, we agreed to this. Let's really make sure we're nailing it, and you can work on it together.
Yeah, and make sure your response is proportional to the issue. Don't just blow past something that's a big deal. If it's a big deal, it needs a big response. But also don't lose your mind over the little things. We don't have time for that, you know.
Right. You know, I think in all of this, it's really important to remind ourselves that worship ministry isn't, you know, all the great stuff that we really, really enjoy doing, you know, playing and singing and leading, all the flashy stuff that people typically see. But it really is just that. Ministry is people.
Yeah.
And, you know, handling critique and conflict really well is important when you are in ministry with people.
Yep, and then it's a huge part of ministry. It really is. And honestly, we would love to hear about some of your maybe best practices that you have on your team to help, because we can always use more help. So leave that in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you guys. Like and subscribe to the channel. We've got more great stuff coming soon. And also follow us on Instagram so you can keep on track with everything that's happening with the Current Worship Collective. We'll talk to you guys next time. Goodbye.